Hello, we are looking at Interim 3 for 8th grade, Miss Allen, Agopov, BR, and Mr. Dixon's classes. We're going to start with 8NS1. Remember, this is the first video in many. We're going to split the Interim 3 into each of its standard sections. Each standard sometimes has only 1 or 2 questions on it, so make sure you look for the other videos as well. First of all, 8NS1 is about rational or irrational numbers. So you need to understand informally that every number has a decimal expansion. And for rational numbers, show that the decimal expansion eventually repeats or terminates, and convert a decimal expansion which repeats eventually into a rational number. So question 1 asks you to circle the numbers below that are rational. Now we're going to start with the definition of rational, so when we're looking at all of these, we know what we're looking for. A rational number can be written as a ratio. The word rational has the word ratio inside of it. A ratio of A over B, where A and B are both integers and B is not 0. So for example, 3 over 4 would be rational, but the square root of 10 over 4 would not be rational because the square root of 10, 2 times 2 is 4. Nope, that's not the square root of 10. 3 times 3 is 9. That got us close to 10. 4 times 4 is 16. That's too high. Square root of 10 would be a decimal, 3 point something. And that decimal would be irrational. It doesn't terminate, it doesn't repeat. So the square root of 10 over 4 would not be rational. 6.5 repeating would be rational because it has a repeating decimal. And let's say 6.259 would be rational because I can write that as a fraction. It's a terminating decimal. So this repeats, so it is rational. This terminates, so I can write it as a fraction. For example, this could be written as 6 and 259 thousandths. So that is what we're looking for when we're trying to decide if a number is rational. So let's look at the first one. Square root of 6 over 18. Well, both of these A and B, numerator and denominators, need to not be irrational if that's going to be a rational number overall. Square root of 6. Well, the square root of 6, if I were to find it, so it would be something over 18. 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 is not the square root of 6. 3 times 3 is 9, so that's not the square root of 6. So it would be 2 point something. If I were to actually calculate the square root of 6, I would find that it was a decimal, but that decimal would not repeat, and that decimal would not terminate. So that would not be a rational number. 2 point something, it does not terminate, it does not repeat. It is not rational. I'm not going to circle it. Square root of 25 is 5, so that is rational. 5 over 1. 5 times 5 is 25, so I'm going to circle square root of 25. Any square root that has a whole number answer is going to be rational. So another example would be square root of 100 is 10. That would be rational. Square root of 81 is 9. That would be rational. But square root of 10 would not be rational, so I would not circle that. So if it said this, I would circle square root of 100. I would circle square root of 81, not circle square root of 10. 0.8 repeating. Well, that is a repeating decimal, so I know I can write it as a fraction. It doesn't ask me to write it as a fraction, it just has to know that is repeating, therefore it is rational. 46.778, ... That means that decimal continues, but it has no repeating sign above the 8. There's no 8 with a line above it, so it doesn't tell me that's going to repeat. And it also doesn't terminate, so it's not going to be rational. I don't know what happens after that ... It could be 46.778925. I have no idea what happens after that, so I cannot determine if it's rational. Pi over 5. Well, pi is approximately 3.14, but that's not exactly what pi is because pi is irrational. So I cannot circle pi over 5 because pi is irrational. And that's a numerator, so I cannot say that that fraction is rational. Negative 6.98, well, another way of saying that is negative 6 and 98 hundredths. I can write that as a fraction, and it terminates. So I would say that is rational. So I'm going to circle negative 6.98. Remember that if you need help, you can go on to khanacademy.org, and you can search for this standard, or you can also search for the number or the name irrational, or look up rational. Those are all ways you could get help with this standard. Make sure you watch the rest. Have a good day.